We are going to see question and answers in routing topic. So I have around 8 question and answers. Let us move on with the questions. So before moving on to the questions, I would like to explain the application which I will be using to explain the answers. Okay. So let me go to this application. This is my Angular application. So if you see it here in that I have just served that application and right now right in the view you can see two components here. You see the employee list component and add employee component. Both components are in the same view. Okay, this is one component and this is another component. If you don't have routes, it will all be in the same view. So this is not it should be right how it should be. So in this routing topic question and answers we will be explaining how to implement routes. We will be by means of questions we will be asking and try to make this as different routes. I want to make this as employee list route and this as add employee route. Okay, let me do that. So this is my application. Right here you can see employee list component and add employee component. Employee list basically for how many elements in the array it creates that much employee components. Okay, employee list makes use of employee component and it list as you can see each one of them is a employee component. Just list through the employee components. Okay, so this is my application. Let us move with the questions now. So the first question is how and where to write the routes. I told you right, we have to write two different routes, one for employee list and one for add employee. How and where we have to write the routes? We write routes in the app module. Okay, in the module, it is not needed that it should be always the root module. If you have written your own modules, that module can have its own router as well. Okay, so let me go to the right now. I will write the route in my root module. Okay, so I should have a we have to define a constant because this is not going to change. Maybe keep it as routes and this can have a and this is of path employees. Okay, so it is routes. The type is routes. Okay, okay, maybe. And here in this array we have to define all the routes we want for this application. I want two routes. One, we have to say the path of the route. The path of the route is employee list. And it should, whenever anyone comes to this route, what component it should show. Okay. So I want it to show employee list component. Okay. Then and the next one is add employee, the next route. For this, it has to load add employee component. Yes, this is the what I want. So this is how you write routes. Okay. Right now, I have just written the routes. This is the way we write routes in in a Angular application. Normally, write in module file. Okay. Normally, even if you write sub modules, that also will have a route for that module alone. Okay. When anyone goes to that module, how it has to route. It will have that route configuration. Okay. Okay. So this is about the first question. We have just written the routes. How and where is we normally write it in module file. So coming to my second question. How to import your routes? You have written your routes, but how to import it in the root module? So this we have written, but the Angler will not know the routes till now because we have not informed Angler. For informing Angler, we have to import router module. Okay, and give this route as an input to it. Okay, so router module dot for root. Since it is a root module, I'm going for root. If it is a sub module, if you have written another module inside this a separate module inside other than the root module, you have to go for child. For only root module, we use for child for root. Otherwise, it is for child. Remember this. Okay. We'll be anyway seeing the differences in one of the questions. So that's it. So what we have to import is we have to import the router module and dot for root, and we have to give the input as the route we wrote. Okay. So this is about importing routes in Angular application. What is router outlet? Now you have told the routes to Angular, but you have not told which place to make the route which got loaded. Maybe if you say employee list, it would load the employee list component. But where to place that employee list component, you have not told to Angular yet. For doing that, you have to make use of router outlet. Router outlet, if you see, it is just a placeholder where the activated route, dynamically activated component will be placed. It is just a placeholder. Okay. So let's see that. So for doing that, what I will say here, you can see that uh, the app component is already loaded. So we have to load the activated component in the app component. So let me place that router outlet in the app component because that's where I want to place the activated component. So let me add this router outlet placeholder. Okay. And I can comment these two because I don't want it to load app component to load both the components by itself. I want to load the dynamically load based on the router configuration, based on the what route the user has activated. Okay. So router outlet is nothing but the placeholder where the activated component will be placed. Okay. So now let us check whether it came for us. So when you say employee list, because that's the path we gave there, right? When we load a employee list, the employee list component should load for me. And it is loading. So if you see here, add employee component will not come because when you give employee list, it will load that component and place it in the router outlet. You can see it. If I inspect this, you can see the router outlet. It has placed next to that app employee list next to that. And similarly, if you load add employee, it will load the add employee component in the router outlet in the near the router outlet placeholder. Okay. So this is about router outlet. Let me go to the next question. So how to navigate to other route? What module to use? So we will see this question and move to fourth. That will be more sequential. See, okay, normally people will not, okay, we will not make the user to enter the URL, add employee or employee list in the URL, then load the component. We normally have buttons or menus. Based on the click, we will load that component. So let me do it via buttons now. Okay. So that's what the question is. How to change routes on click in HTML. Maybe there is an employee list button. If you click on that, I want to load the employee list. Likewise, if there is an add employee button, if I click that, the add employee component should get loaded. Okay. For that, what I will do, I think I already have this. I have two buttons. Okay. We'll just paste it here. This employee list, not employee list. It should be in app modules, right? So this is the app component HTML. So in this, here I will add two buttons as well. Okay. So one button is employee list and another button is employee add. Okay. Okay. So we have now, if you see in the application, you will have two buttons, employee list and employee add. Now, based on the click of the button, I want to load that component. Okay, this is the question here. So based on the click in the HTML, how to load that corresponding component, not from the URL, but based on the click in the button. Okay, how to make that happen? For that, Angular has given us a attribute called router link. You can see this. You can see router. It is router link. Okay, attribute name is router link, and here you have to mention the path. For employee list, I think it is employee list, right? We can see that path there. You can just copy that path. If you're not clear, you just copy this path and put to app component. Total. This is one path. And for employee add, if anyone clicks, what route I need to load, you need to mention the path for employee add as well. So here it is add employee. Don't mention the component name. You have to mention the path, the router link. Okay. So now when it gets loaded, based on the click, that employee list will be loaded. See, when I click on employee list, that employee list component is loaded. Likewise, if I press on employee add, that add employee component will be loaded. So by using router link, we have made this possible. How to change in routes based on click in HTML. But this change is happening from HTML. Okay. Now moving back to the fourth question. How to programmatically navigate to other routes? Okay. What module to use for that? Okay. For showing this example, okay, maybe what I will do. So for navigating to other routes programmatically, I've already done one implementation likewise. If you see add employee, if you take, so once anybody adds this employee, right? Okay. I want to show that added employee in the employee list. So what it should happen is once the server says the employee is added, I want to move to employee list route. Okay. For that, let us implement that. How we will see how we can implement that. Likewise, I'm saying I am adding some user here. Okay. If I say submit, it will just stay in this page, though it we don't know whether it got added or not. If the user wants to check whether it got added, he has to go and here it would have got added. But still, for making it properly happen, we have to reroute to this employee list page. So let us see how we can do it for answering this question. How to programmatically navigate to other routes. So we will also see which module to use for that. So for programmatically, this is the code add employee code TS file. So once the add employee is done and say server says it is success, I want to move back to the employee list route, right? For that, what I need to do is first I need to get this router module through dependency injection first. First step is I need to get the router instance. Using this router instance only we can navigate to another route. Okay, for getting that you just specify in the constructor router. Okay, now we have got the router instance. Using that router, this is the module we require for programmatically navigating to other routes. Okay, so you can see this. It is from Angular router. And using this router instance, what I will do, using the navigate function of it, the same router dot navigate, and you mention the path where you are interested to move. Once the add employee is success. Here the router, you have to specify it as a array. I have only one element here, so I will specify it as employee list, right? Just say it like this. So it should move once the add employee is success from the server. It should now move to employee list route. This is the path of your route. Whatever you mentioned in that path. So my path is as per what I've defined here. It is employee list. So let us check now whether after add employee it is properly going. So let me add something called XYZ with this something, and I will make him a manager. Now submit. Now you can see it navigated automatically programmatically to the employee list route, and it will also change in the URL. So you should be able to see our route somewhere. So you are able to see it here. Okay, right? This is how we can programmatically navigate using navigate in Angular application. So you have to use router module and you have to use navigate method. Okay, let me move to the next question. So other thing is how to send query parameters. Okay. If I want to send the query parameters to another thing, how to send? We can easily send it by using queryParams. Okay. We have to use, maybe I will add it in the add employee only. Maybe go to this component. Here you can easily add query params. Add query params and the key and the value. maybe give some key. Give some state. Maybe it is, I want it to be a list. Maybe whatever. So that's it. Now this query params will be sent with the route. And the receiving employee list component has to maybe need, it can take from this query params and do whatever it wants with that. We can see that. Maybe I will do it again now. Let us see whether anything has happened because of that. So make it DFG, make it something, delete, and you can see the query params in the URL itself. And the receiving component can easily try to get the router params and do it. For that, we have to use another module for that. Okay. The another module name is, I can show you, tell you, you have to use something. You have to use activated route. This module, okay, this module needs to be used, and you need to get the query params out of it. You have to use this dot route dot snapshot dot query params to receive, to get the query params from the URL. This has to be done by the receiving component. In our case, it is employee list. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. How to add children routes in the application. How to add children routes. So in our application, right, we also have a login page. Okay. Maybe I'm not added. I will also add that so that you understand why you need children routes. So the question here is how to add children routes. Okay. So it is like route within a route, that is children routes. Maybe to explain that more clearly, I also have a login page in my application. So let me add for that also. Okay, what I will do, I will add a path for login also because I have also login component. So I will say login and it should be login component. Maybe yeah. So now I also added a login. You have to put a comma here. So if you say login here, it should load the login as well. Okay. It has some issues. So maybe I will load this login component here also. So now it should load, I think. So now it has loaded the login component. But if you see the issue here, all these components are getting loaded into the same app module. Okay. If you say login, also it loads in the same app modules. In the same app modules, we also have employee list and these two buttons. This should not be like this, right? We should have a container page for both the employee list and employee add. It should not be in the same level of login. So we need to add a home page, okay, which contains these two, employee list and add employee. Okay. So it should be like both employee list and employee add. If they are in the same level, it will be like what we see here. Okay, the login page will show the employee list and employee ad. So it should be only when the person logins, properly logins, he should be able to come to home page. That's why we need a container page. So let me have it as a home page. I've already created a home page. So just let me put home page, and it should, the component should be home page component, home component. Okay. And these two, right? These two, employee list and add employee, should be part of this home, inside home component. When anyone wants to load this employee list, it should be home slash employee list. So it should be inside home page, these two. So it should be as a children of this home page. So that's why we need children routes. So how to add children routes in Angular? Just put it as children and add these two routes. We can, we just will put these two routes inside. Okay, and we will close this. Okay, that's it. So this is how we add a children route. Now this employee list and add employees are a children of home page. Okay, and also we need to remove this from that app component.html. We will remove this because these two should be part of home page, not that root component. It should not be part of that. It should be part of home page. So in the home page, if you go and see home component, which I have created already, you will see the two buttons already. Okay. So likewise, I've added all that. And why we need a router outlet here? Just comment this, and I will try to run it now. If I run it now, okay, you can see home. Now you can see that those buttons are not appearing here. If you see home, it loads the home page. But when you click on anything, right, nothing will happen. Why nothing is happening? Since it is a children of home page, in the home page you need to mention where it has to, you need to specify a placeholder router outlet where it can put the activated route. Okay, the home page, it will put in the router outlet of root component. Likewise, the login also, if the login, any user mentions that login component will be put in the router outlet of the root component, that is app component. Likewise, home also, it will be done in the app component, router outlet mentioned in app component. But when you go inside home page, home add employee, you need to mention it in the home component.html where this activated component should be mentioned. So you need to mention it in the component HTML so as to show the component. Okay. So now when you do that, you should be able to see the view. You're able to see. Since I have mentioned a router outlet inside home page, whenever I click the router link, I have already added for home page, home component, I've added a router link. So it loads that employee list or add employee inside the router outlet mentioned in the placeholder of router outlet mentioned in the home component. Okay. Hope this is clear. Let me go to the next question. So what is the difference between RouterModule.forRoot and RouterModule.forChild? This I already mentioned. Okay. RouterModule.forRoot is where we mention the added routes, right? So if you see the module, you can see RouterModule.forRoot. We mention the added routes. Added routes. So the for root we will be using only in case of root module. For other modules, what we add, okay, submodules or lazy loaded modules, we use for child. Only for understand that only for app module, root module, we use for root. In cases of other modules, here I would have added lazy loaded modules like authentication module. This is my own module. I have created this module. In that I will use only for child. I have also added route here, okay, but I will use for child only in this case because it is a sub module, okay, not a root module. Okay, hope you understand this. So we will use root module, we will use for root, and for lazy loaded or sub modules we use for child.